I've already made the point that I mustn't be the only person who's growing tired of the sycophantic treatment of the Albanese Labor government by the bulk of the media and the demonisation of Peter Dutton and the Liberals. I'm telling you now that the rot is about to set in and voter revenge will not be far away. How are 10 million middle-income Australians likely to respond when they learn in the May federal budget, only weeks away, that the low and middle-income tax offset will be wiped in the middle of a cost of living crisis? Nothing about this before the election. I don't have a problem with the decision, but would Albanese have won the election if this had been announced before the election? It's a tax increase. Some of those 10 million taxpayers will have up to $1,500 less in their pockets. Or will they understand what a pup we were sold at the last federal election almost a year ago? Now remember, you can hardly say that Anthony Albanese won. Morrison lost. As in New South Wales recently, the Liberal brand was a disaster. All those things I warned about re-coronavirus have been borne out. No justification for lockdowns or masks or keeping kids out of school or closing down business. The evidence is emerging. But along the way, the country went broke or near to it. So in the face of a toxic Morrison-led government, along came Albo and the so-called small target. All pretty innocent stuff. What did he promise? Well, nothing much in terms of a political earthquake, so said Albo. Really? Since the election, his government has announced at least 47 reviews, 38 consultation papers, accords and strategies, 2 summits, a robo-debt royal commission, 51 ministerial roundtables and an inquiry into Mr Morrison's multiple ministries. But opposition leader Albanese constantly championed the small target strategy to win government. With a still sympathetic media, it apparently doesn't matter that on 97 separate occasions pre-election, Anthony Albanese and Labor promised that average household power bills would be $275 lower by 2025. Yet the last Chalmers budget papers say electricity bills will rise by 50% over the next 18 months, some say as high as 80%, and gas bills by 40%. To justify the broken promise, of course, the Prime Minister and the Treasurer say it's Vladimir Putin's fault. But hang on. Putin's war broke out on February 24. Labor was still making these promises right up until polling day on May 21. And wholesale power prices didn't start to surge in February when Putin invaded, but in April, when the Liddell coal-fired power station in New South Wales shut down a quarter of its capacity. The reality is simple. Bowen is one of the most clueless and arrogant ministers I have seen in all of my time witnessing federal politics. Here we are replacing reliable 24/7 power provided by fossil fuels with unreliable wind and solar power that needs expensive backup for the 70% of the time when the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't shining. Well, I'll tell you what happens, which Labor wouldn't tell you before the election. Your bills go north. Why not check your electricity bill? The Liddell coal-fired power station will close entirely on April 28, removing 1,200 megawatts of electricity from the grid. In an understatement, the new Labor Environment Minister in New South Wales, Labor's Penny Sharp, said, quote, New South Wales is facing serious energy challenges in years to come, unquote. AGL is Australia's biggest electricity generator, and of course this fellow Cannon Brooks is flexing his wealth. So AGL have caved in and Liddell will close in 10 days' time.